I've been learning multiple languages at once for years. In fact, this summer I'm planning to learn Dutch, Japanese, and French all at the same time. Today I'm going to share with you my tips on how to learn multiple languages at the same time, how do I achieve it, and my exact plan to learn these 3 languages during the months of June and July. So let's get into it. First, I want to talk about mindset because this is very important when learning multiple languages at once. Specifically, I want to talk about managing expectations. When you learn different languages at the same time, it's more likely that you will progress slower. It's not a given, but it's just more common because you're dividing your time and resources into 3 different languages. If you were to focus all your time, all your resources into one language, you will progress super fast. But because you decide the route of learning multiple languages at once because you think it's more interesting, because of whatever reason you have, then you have to accept that you're gonna very likely progress slower. You're also gonna be more likely to confuse languages, which is completely normal, by the way. Sometimes you wanna speak Spanish and French is gonna come out. Sometimes you're gonna wanna speak German and Dutch is gonna come out. Sometimes you're speaking Italian and then Japanese comes out. And that doesn't make sense, but it still happens, right? And you also have to think about your expectations when it comes to maintaining languages. Some languages we learn more actively and some languages we just maintain, languages that we're more familiar with that we don't need to study as much as the others. So those maintaining languages might lessen in fluency, and this is completely normal because you're not using them as much as you used to, and you might forget words that before were so normal to use for you. And this is what happens when you learn multiple languages in general. Even if you don't learn them at the same time, even if you learn them one by one, you might forget some words and some parts of the language that used to come very natural to you, and this just happens because of lack of practice. And all of this means that you need to be even more patient when you learn multiple languages at once than when you're learning just one. Now let's talk about how I prioritize languages, and also one question I get asked a lot is how do you pick which languages to focus on? Which honestly, just pick whatever language you want to learn, but let me just explain to you how I do it so maybe you can get some ideas. So I always have a language ladder. This is a language ladder and I divide it into different sections. The blue zone, as I like to call it, is where our languages are more vulnerable. These are our baby languages and languages that just are very needy. They need a lot of our attention because we're gonna forget it. The higher in the ladder, the more we're gonna forget them, and the lower in the ladder, the more they're just ingrained in our brain. So basically what I do is I just fill this in with all of my languages, like this. And then normally I will pick my 3 languages as the ones that are in the blue zone. I will pick my most advanced language as the first one and then so on. And I do that because I want to focus on moving them forward. Okay, but the thing here is that I'm not gonna pick German because I live in the Netherlands and I want to improve my Dutch. My second language then will be French. I'm gonna skip German just because German and Dutch, I confuse them a lot and I just want to improve my Dutch as much as possible in the next few years. So German might stay there for a while. And then as my third language, I'm gonna pick Japanese because honestly, I feel like I shouldn't be studying Japanese at all because genuinely I'm not paying enough attention to it. But I just love it so much and I don't want to let go of it. And all the other languages, I just gonna have them as maintenance mode, and this means that I will study in them once every other week or once a week. Great, so you can download this exact ladder in my free guide. It's in the description box down below. But if you want to get my full planning strategy, which I'm gonna explain here, but if you want the actual planner to fill it in, it's also gonna be down below and it includes video guides and audio guides and everything. Okay, so once I know exactly the languages that I want to learn, I will proceed to create a plan or a strategy. The way that I create a plan is that I first start with a goal, then I look at where I'm at, and then I create a routine that will help me achieve that goal. So a strategy will essentially help me stay focused and motivated to learn the language. Okay, so let me show you how I create strategies for all of the different languages and how I create routines for them. So the first one is Dutch, and my goal for Dutch is to feel comfortable when I'm speaking Dutch here in the Netherlands. I have a very Flemish accent. It's been an issue. People don't understand me. I don't understand people. So I need to get over that in order to regain my confidence and in order to properly learn Dutch. So basically what I need to do is focus on 2 specific skills. One is listening comprehension and the second one is pronunciation. So the way that I'm gonna create my routine is that I'm actually going to create 2 routines. One during the month of June and one during the month of July. During the month of June, I'm gonna start gaining some passive confidence by doing a lot of listening comprehension as much as I can. And I'm just gonna basically listen to things in Dutch. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna pretend I have a fancy strategy or anything. I'm just gonna listen to things in Dutch without subtitles because I think I should understand without subtitles. And in the second part of the plan in July, what I want to do is I'm gonna do everything more active and I'm gonna focus on pronunciation. So I think I might even get a course. I'm not very sure yet. And I just want to get more used to the Dutch way of pronouncing things instead of the Flemish way of pronouncing things, even though I love how Flemish sounds and I'm gonna miss it so much. But I need to do this because I live in the Netherlands now and I'm gonna stay here for probably the next 5 years. So I need to face it. I need to change my accent, which it's very weird, but I need to do it. Now let's move on to the next language, which is French. And my goal for French is to just absorb the language more. With Romance languages, having Spanish being my native language and already knowing Italian and Portuguese, the way I learned Romance languages is very different of the way I learn other languages because it's just absorbing and immersing myself into the language, and that's what my focus is for French. And my goal is for French in the next months is to just do a little bit more immersion. I'm not gonna do like complete immersion or anything like that because again my main focus is Dutch and I don't want to take away from that. But what I want to do with French is that maybe once or twice a week, so it's not very often, but once or twice a week to listen to some French shows on Netflix or even on Disney Plus. And while I immerse myself, I like to do a lot of shadowing, and I think that absolutely helps a lot with learning vocabulary and learning to pronounce words correctly. And also I'm gonna continue the Lingo Dear French Accelerated course, which I think it's very good and I absolutely love it, and I'm not done yet with it. And then for my third language, which is Japanese, my plan is I have this course by Oli Richards. I will teach you a language. It's called Japanese Uncover, and it's about learning Japanese through stories. And what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna try, I think it's gonna be too hard for me, but I'm gonna try to do one chapter of the story every week. I say it's gonna be too hard because, like I told you, my Japanese comes on and off and I haven't been very consistent with it. And again, it's the idea to just keep it simple, just keep one resource at a time, and to make it just chill for me to do this, because I don't wanna oversaturate myself with a lot of things, because I've been down that road way too many times and I don't want to be there again. Okay? Now last but not least, the plan is not complete until you make sure you're going to be consistent with it. So the way that I make sure I'm consistent is, first, I share my progress like in this video for accountability, and I also share a lot in my Instagram, and I do that just because I like to stay accountable with the help of the community. I also have our study group and our Discord server where we study together at least once a week, and that will definitely help to get some Japanese or French done. I also include it into my daily planner, so I write all the to-dos of the days, and I include learning the languages that I need to learn. Yeah, and also studying at the same time every day helps a lot because you gotta create the habit of just studying at those times. So for example, for me, every day at 5, it's like I get an itch that I need to stop working and start learning languages, just because for the past months I've been doing it so much that it's just a thing. And also in the morning when I wake up and drinking my coffee, the first thing I think about is learning Dutch. So that's a habit that is already been formed. After July, I'm gonna give you a little update of how it went for me and how this plan worked or didn't. If you also want to create a plan for this summer, definitely check out the planners that I have created and the free guide that I have created so you can start creating your own study plan for summer. And I would love to know what languages you are learning this summer. If you're learning a language this summer, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!